It is Thanksgiving Day here in the United States of America. This is one of our major holidays. So, how did it start? Why do we celebrate it? Find out in this video. Well, it started with a group of people called pilgrims. A pilgrim is a person who leaves his or her home in search of a better life. It's a wanderer. It's someone who's willing to take risks in order to fulfill a dream. Now, these pilgrims lived in the country of England in the early 1600s. They were families who had different religious beliefs than the people in England. At this time, there was one church in England called the Anglican Church, and this group of people, whom we call the Pilgrims, did not agree with the Anglican Church. And so they wanted to be able to practice their religion in their way. So therefore, they decided to leave England and make a new home in the modern day United States. They were actually persecuted for their beliefs, and they wanted to raise their children in their way. So therefore, they were willing to take this risk. They left England in September of 1620, and it took 2 months for them to travel across the Atlantic Ocean to the New World, or the modern day United States. Now, they were planning to go to the Virginia colony. Virginia is more along the southern part of the United States, along the eastern coast. That's where they were headed. But a terrible, terrible storm, and many storms actually prevented them from landing in their original destination. So therefore, they landed in Massachusetts, which is really far up north from Virginia. The problem is that this area where they landed in modern day Massachusetts is very, very cold in the wintertime. And they really had no idea about what this climate was like, or this area of the country was like. They had very little information about the New World because there were very few Europeans from England who were in modern day United States at this time. This particular winter of 1620 was very, very cold. And they didn't have proper shelter. They didn't have enough food. They actually were not very knowledgeable in farming or hunting. And so as a result, a great tragedy happened. 50% of their group died in this first winter. A tragedy is a terrible, sad situation. And this is a great tragedy because these people who were looking for a better life for their families ended up losing half of their people. So this story begins with a sad event, but thankfully it didn't stay sad. And that's because the Native Americans who were in this region were friendly. They encountered these European settlers and they helped them. They helped them to learn how to fish, how to grow food, and how to hunt. So these Native Americans befriended them and they helped them to survive. So this is a positive story that occurred between Native Americans and European settlers. We have plenty of stories that were not positive, where people were slaughtered, people were forced off of their land, where there was a lot of animosity and atrocities committed. But this story, it's a positive one. It's one where there are two different groups of people who did not allow their differences to divide them. Instead, they chose to come together in friendship and to help each other. So it's because of these kind Native Americans that these European settlers were able to survive. And this is how it should be. It shouldn't matter where we're from. It shouldn't matter our differences. If we see another human being in need, we should help that person, and we're meant to help each other. So this is a wonderful story, a wonderful example of what we should do, is that we should help each other. And so it's a story that we love to share with our children about helping other people who are in need. So according to the writings of these pilgrims, they decided in the autumn of 1621, 1 year after they had arrived, they decided to hold a 3-day feast, a giant meal, a big meal. That's what a feast is. They decided to hold a 3-day feast in order to give thanks that they had enough food to last through the winter that was coming up, unlike the previous winter. And they decided to invite the Native Americans to join them. So according to the records, there were only about 50 pilgrims there. There were 22 men. There were only 4 women. Many of the women had died in that horrible winter, and about 25 children and teenagers. So about 50 pilgrims were there, and about 90 of the Wampanoag Native Americans were invited to this 3-day feast. So this year of 2020 actually marks 400 years since the pilgrims first arrived in modern day United States. And we still remember that event, and we still remember that first Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day has been celebrated for all of these 400 years. However, in the beginning, there was no official Thanksgiving Day. It wasn't made an official holiday until 1863. It was made official by President Abraham Lincoln. You might remember him because he was the one who was the president during our Civil War when the north of the United States was fighting over the southern United States. He's also the one who gave the Emancipation Proclamation that freed all of the slaves in the United States. So he hoped that by making this proclamation in the middle of the war, it lasted from 1861 to 1865, he hoped that by making this proclamation of taking a day to give thanks, that maybe this would somehow unify the country. And that's why he made this declaration. So since that time, the 4th Thursday of November has been recognized as an official holiday in the United States. This is our Thanksgiving Day. So it is a day that we gather with our family, sometimes with our friends too. We think about what has happened in the last year, and we give thanks. Now, this year of 2020 has not been an easy one. It's been very, very difficult for many people. Many people have lost their jobs. They have lost their loved ones due to this virus. It's been very, very difficult year. But even in the midst of the difficulties, there are still things that we have, things that we can focus on, things that we can be thankful for. Just like the pilgrims who experienced a horrible tragedy, losing 50% of their population. They chose to persist. They chose to not give up. They chose to be strong. And they chose to be thankful. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this explanation of the history of Thanksgiving Day. I have another video where I share some of the things that we do to celebrate Thanksgiving these days. And so if you're interested in more about Thanksgiving, you can watch that video. If you like this video, please like it. Please subscribe because I'm producing videos, many videos every week. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then you'll be notified right away when I release a new video. Well, I hope that you have things that you are thankful for. Take some time today to be thankful, to reflect, to think about the good things in your life. Thanks for spending this time with me. Have a great day. Bye.